The first time I held those headphones in my hands, they didn't look special. They didn't glow, they didn't hum, and they definitely didn't look like something that could read minds. Just matte black plastic, a thin silver band, and cushions that felt too soft to be real. But the moment I placed them over my ears, everything around me changed. It wasn't sound that hit me, it was thoughts, raw, unfiltered, and shockingly loud. At first, I thought it was some kind of glitch. Maybe the headphones were picking up random radio waves or interference. But the words I heard were too close, too familiar, too personal. They belonged to the people right in front of me. The guy sitting at the cafe counter thinking about how badly he needed a second job. The woman behind him wondering if her boyfriend still loved her. The teenager at the corner table panicking over an exam he hadn't studied for. Everything they never said out loud was suddenly in my ears, whispering, shouting, overlapping. I ripped the headphones off immediately. The silence felt heavier than the noise. I sat there trying to make sense of what just happened. Curiosity got the better of me, and I slipped them back on, slowly this time. The thoughts came rushing again, like a crowd forcing its way through a narrow door. I could hear fear, regret, joy, lies, love, all tangled into a chaotic stream of consciousness. And in that moment, I realized humanity is louder in silence than in speech. I needed answers. So I traced the seller, an old electronics collector who claimed the headphones were part of a canceled experiment. He said they were built by a small research team trying to explore neural resonance communication, basically syncing electronic signals with brain waves. But the project was abandoned, he said, because the results were unpredictable. And in the wrong hands, dangerous. He warned me not to use them in crowded places. I didn't listen. The next day, I tested them on a bus. Bad idea. Terrible idea. The moment I put them on, the thoughts slammed into me like a wave. A man silently worrying about losing his job. A girl wondering if she should run away from home. A mother praying she can afford her child's medication. Layer after layer of human struggle poured into my mind until it became unbearable. I felt dizzy, overwhelmed, suffocated by emotions that weren't mine. I had to get off the bus before I passed out. But it wasn't always heavy. Sometimes the headphones revealed beautiful things people never said out loud because they were too shy, too scared, or too proud. I heard a boy planning to propose to his girlfriend and rehearsing the words in his head. I heard a shy girl silently hyping herself up to talk to her crush. I heard a stranger silently thanking the universe for one more day. These small, quiet moments felt more human than any conversation. Still, I knew I needed to understand how they worked. So I experimented. I tested them in empty rooms, in crowded spaces, in places filled with emotion, hospitals, libraries, schools, markets. I learned something. Human thoughts don't flow in sentences. They come in fragments, images, instincts, flashes of memory, echoes of fear. It wasn't like eavesdropping on conversations. It was like stepping into the inside of someone's soul for a second. But the headphones had a limit. The longer I wore them, the louder the thoughts became. It felt like the device was tuning deeper and deeper into people's subconscious, pulling out things they didn't even know they were thinking. And then, something happened that made me want to destroy them. I heard my own thoughts. Not the conscious ones, the hidden ones. The ones buried under excuses and routines. The ones I never acknowledged but always felt. I wasn't prepared for that. It was like arguing with a version of myself I had avoided for years. The headphones didn't just let me hear others, they turned inward too. And the truth I heard about myself was harder to face than anything I'd heard from strangers. I tried giving the headphones away. I left them at a bus stop, but somehow they ended up on my doorstep the next morning. I threw them in the trash. They reappeared in my backpack. It was like they were bound to me, like I had already unlocked something in them, or in myself. I stopped using them for a week, trying to forget the weight of everything I had heard. But curiosity has a way of pulling you back. I decided to wear them one last time, not to spy, not to explore, but to listen with intention. I walked through a park, tuning into the thoughts around me. This time, I didn't feel overwhelmed. I felt connected. People weren't just strangers anymore. They were stories, unfinished, messy, beautiful stories. We walk past each other every day, unaware of the battles people are fighting silently. These headphones forced me to face that truth, but I realized something even more important. Maybe we're not meant to hear each other's thoughts. Maybe the mystery is what protects us. Maybe the silence between people is there for a reason. And maybe empathy, real empathy, comes from choosing to understand someone without needing to hear every hidden thought inside their mind. So I made my decision. I took the headphones to a remote place, far from the city, far from noise, far from anybody's thoughts. I buried them deep in the ground, covering them with soil, hoping no one else would find them. Not because they were evil, but because they were too honest, too powerful, too real for a world that barely understands itself. Now, sometimes when I'm walking alone, I wonder if they're still there, still active, still listening, and a part of me fears that someday someone else will dig them up, someone curious like me, someone who wants answers, someone who isn't ready for the weight of truth, because once you hear the thoughts of others, you can never unhear the world again.